Okay, this video is going to act as a gentle introduction to the ComfyUI Manager. Um, if you listen to my first lecture, you know that like the Comfy Manager is more or less the most important first thing you install when you install ComfyUI. And that's because it's going to make installing nodes, models, other things a lot easier. And by default, Run Comfy comes with Manager installed, so you don't need to worry about that. If you're installing this locally, you will need to go check out the instructions on how to install the Comfy Manager by yourself. So let's just go ahead and start with this. So I'm starting in Run Comfy. You'll see here I'm also in the CPU mode, meaning we're not actually going to generate any images. We're just going to play with installing stuff. And with Run Comfy, anything you install is going to be auto-installed in any system you open in Run Comfy. So when we switch over to GPU, the nodes we install will still be available to you. We'll go down here and we'll click on Manager. And that's going to pop open this somewhat ugly UI, but it's going to give us access to a bunch of cool things. So what we're going to look for is we're going to look at custom nodes. And there are two ways to do this. There's a way to install the missing custom nodes, which we'll look at a later date in a later class. But for now, we want to look at installing custom nodes in general. I'm going to install a pretty cool little node that will kind of be helpful for us going forward, but I'll talk about that in just a minute. So we'll click on Install Custom Nodes. And then sometimes will take a little bit of time to update that database. But in this case, I've already done this earlier today, so it was ready to go. So now what we'll do is let's search for, up here, we're going to search for a thing called Sidebar. I do generally recommend using this search. Anything that is outside of search is kind of hard to find unless you know exactly what you're looking for. There are ways to filter by what you've already installed, is either broken, maybe disabled. You can go through here and kind of see what's available to you, but I find like a lot of people are just like they'll go and install a million things no matter what, and sometimes you install stuff and it breaks things. So don't generally go crazy. You're welcome to go around and play and look and see what some of these nodes do, but in general, I wouldn't recommend using them unless you know exactly what they're going to be used for. So in this case, let's go back and let's look for the sidebar tool. And the one we want is this one up here, which is called ComfyUI-N-Sidebar. It's by this author named Nuked, and it's a simple sidebar for ComfyUI. So there's a couple features that I really like about this. Unfortunately, two of the features that I think are really cool don't really work in Run Comfy because of how Run Comfy operates. This is kind of the downside of Run Comfy, but they're actually really cool, and if you're running a local system, like they're really helpful. Let's go ahead and install this, and then I'll show you what this tool does. So click on the install button, and it should just sort of like install. It takes maybe 30 seconds. And you'll see a button here that says, in order to apply this, you need to press restart. So for any Comfy system, whenever you upload a new or install a new node, you need to restart the system. That basically tells Comfy like, hey, I'm going to be using these new nodes, and you need to add all the functionality from them. So go ahead and hit restart, and you'll say, are you sure? And you'll say yes. And then this is going to reconnect. Now the tricky thing is in Run Comfy, we also want to click this Restart Comfy button up here. Don't get me started on why we have to click both, but we do. We click both. So we'll hit that, and then it's going to say once you're done, you want to manually refresh your browser. So we'll hit OK, and we're going to refresh our browser. And now we'll see here at the side, we've got this thing that is our sidebar menu. So the main reason I think this is really helpful for what this class we're going to do is there are a lot of nodes in Comfy, and searching for the right node is a huge pain in the ass. They're all named sort of the same thing, right? So for example, one of the things we're going to look at in this class is animate diff. So, the way to search for a node is to double click here, and then you type in animate, and you'll see like I want to animate diff, but like to find the actual one I want is all the way down here, animate diff loader, right? So, and there's a million of these, and you might forget exactly which one you want. What I like about the sidebar tool over here is you can go in here and you can search animate diff. And what it's going to pull up is going to pull up a bunch of things that are named animate diff. But in this case, I know what I want is this one, the animate diff loader. The other thing that's nice here is as you hover over it, you'll see you get a preview of what the node looks like. For me, I often play the node. I'm like, I remember it had this many inputs and this many outputs, but which one was it? What was it called? And you can kind of go through here and find what you want. So in this case, one of the things we're definitely going to be using is the animate diff loader. And what I like about this is we can go ahead and it's kind of hard to see here, but if you slide over to the right, there's a little pin icon. And when you click the pin icon, it's going to pin that node up for you. Now this is really helpful because now I don't need to go around and like do a search and like try to remember which one it's called. It's just going to show up for me. So maybe for the same, we could do K-sampler, which is going to be like the most popular thing we use. and maybe you will forget what it's called. There are case sampler pipe, advanced pipe, and the one that we really want is just the regular one, the basic case sampler. I may show what the advanced one looks like in a later date because there are a lot of helpful features here. But for now, we're just going to worry about case sampler. So we'll go ahead and we'll pin that. And then when we close this, we can go back to home. And we'll see here we've got our pin nodes. Now, interestingly, I notice only one is pinned. Why did that happen? Let's see. Animate diff. Oh, that's still there. Well, interesting. I thought it pinned more than one. That might be less helpful than I thought it was. But either way, we've learned how to install stuff. Now that's animate diff loader. Okay, so maybe just if I clear this out. There we go. Okay, cool. So it's because I had a search term in there. So basically, you clear out the search term, and you will see both of you these pinned things. And then it's easy enough for me to just drag these into my workflow area, and I now have access to those. So this is a really powerful feature, especially if you are someone who's like confused or overwhelmed by the amount of custom nodes available to you. Perfect. This alone makes it worth installing. There's another thing that are available only if you're on a local machine. This doesn't work on Runway or on RunComfy, unfortunately. But you can go to Workspaces and Workflows, and you can save your workflows and then categorize them. The way to save a workflow is to come over here, and you're going to click the little arrow button, and you're going to save to Workflows. And it'll ask you to prompt it, and you can save a workflow there. The problem with RunComfy is RunComfy doesn't actually save your workflows over sessions. So I could save this workflow, and then I would open it at a later date, and it wouldn't be there. I don't know why they do it that way. They just do. I found that out through their Discord today, in fact, so I know that's like kind of a bummer. But it's helpful. The other thing you can do is, and again, this isn't available in Comfy for some reason, or in RunComfy for some reason, but you can select a couple nodes, and in other tools, you can save it as a template. So basically, it's like a little chunk of nodes you can then drag and drop and use everywhere. So I don't know why this isn't available in RunComfy either, probably for the same reason that the saving the workflows isn't. It's just not persisted across machines. So in this case, you can't use this. But if you're running this locally, you could also save your templates, and then you can categorize. So the thing about the sidebars is it doesn't actually save them for you, but allows you to categorize them. So if they already get saved to your Comfy system, then you can save everything as is, which is kind of nice. So it's not the most helpful for RunComfy, but I find that just this ability to pin and like easily find your workflows that you're looking for to be pretty nice, especially knowing that a lot of us are new to this tool, and it's a nightmare to try to find the right nodes. Again, I've consistently always dragged in the wrong node and then made a bunch of errors and realized I was in the wrong node and had to go back and open the right node. So what I'll try to do in class is actually use this tool and pin the right nodes for us. And if you follow along, then you should have access to the right things at the right time. Cool. So that is a basic intro to the manager as well as this cool tool. We'll probably look at the manager a lot more in future weeks, but for now, I just want you to know, like, if you're ever looking for models or you're looking for nodes, you can find them there. Again, RunComfy is kind of a nice thing in that it's going to install most of the nodes you need. It's going to install the most popular nodes, and pretty much anything we're going to look at in class will probably already be installed. But maybe, actually, you know what? Maybe we will install some new nodes when we start to look at importing other people's workflows. That's a really common problem where people use a custom workflow with a custom node, and then we don't have it, and we need to install it. Manager will help us do that, but we probably won't look at it this week, so I don't want to overwhelm you. So look at that at a later week, but for now, we're good to go. We can go ahead and hit stop on our CPU here. That will turn off our machine, and we won't burn through any more credits. Even though CPU credits are free, it's good to keep as many as you can, because you only get 20 per month, or 20 hours per month. So in that case, we'll hit stop here. We'll say yes, stop it, and then our machine will turn off, and now we're ready to go. Cool, so that's it for this video. I hope it was helpful, and we'll definitely be looking more at the manager in future sessions.